So we are here now at the RVMH Hall of Fame out in Elkhart, Indiana. This is the outside display. There's a van conversion as well as a motorhome that was donated this past year. The guy was a Eagles fan, and that motorhome has been through a few different phases throughout its lifetime being used, and he went traveling to many different football games. As you'll notice, we are right off the highway, which is Route 80. Looking eastbound, you can see the sign here, and the brand new outdoor pavilion. We have a Travco motorhome. This usually was parked out front, which now with this gravel lot, we now can park it on the side of the building. And we have a manufactured home that's also on display here. And so we're going to go on inside. As you enter the museum here, you'll enter in what is a gift store. You'll find various items, books that are available for purchase. You'll notice some books that you might have seen at various bookstores that are available for purchase here at the Hall of Fame gift shop. So when you enter the museum, you'll come in and you'll pay for your ticket fee at our front desk here. Which is right here. Then we have a new piece, a wagon that's been restored as a John Deere horse-drawn wagon to depict the early days of travel. Then we head into our Go RVing hall. So in this hall, we keep newer vehicles for display, and we have a depiction of a manufacturing facility that was made a few years back. It's in 1/24th scale. This is just a miniaturized version. We have a 1939 Schultz that we just acquired. That'll be moved into another hall here on Monday. What'd you guys think?
Oh, it's great.
This is a lot of fun. It's really
Good. So I have a Jayco We have a motorhome here, Class A, Winnebago, as well as a reproduction of a Shasta, depicting a 1959 to 64 model. So you'll find newer vehicles in this haul. So this is always changing in here. We always try to get some newer pieces in here. So every time we visit the museum, we find something new. And we do invite you to visit and walk in a lot of these units. So this is our Going RV haul. Alright, after we leave the Go RVing hall, you have the opportunity to go into our theater here at the RV Hall of Fame, and we have a video that plays for you. We'll take a sneak peek in there. We won't stay but a minute.
South Hall, second level, which may be accessed by an elevator or the grand stairway. These are the individuals that helped shape the RV and MH industries. New inductees are displayed annually between the two columns on the outer side of this theater wall. They are selected by nomination and then endorsed with 3 letters of recommendation, which then be submitted to an election committee of industry professionals. Visit kiosk just outside the theater entrance where lifetime members receive a special loan. You too can become a lifetime member of the Hall of Honor. Pick up a brochure for details. As you move to the rear of the second level, you will find the entrance to the library on the left side, which houses thousands of volumes of publications, periodicals, records, photos, and materials relating to the history of the industry. Relax in the library sitting area. Peruse the extensive research materials.
So now we head into the RV Founders Hall, where the primary collection is located. And you enter via right. Immediately to the left here, you'll see the Thor Industries display, in which there are 2 Airstreams currently on display here. The second camper there is the most significant one out of the 2, as it was a European model that they had designed. It is much smaller than a Bambi. There's only a handful of these that were ever really built. It's a 10-foot prototype that just never was actually mass produced. And also in the display, you have some Airstream-oriented memorabilia. And as we walked in, we passed our beginning stages of the RV Hall of Fame's display, which has a Model T pulling an actual fully enclosed camping trailer, which is a 1913 Earl travel trailer. It is known as the oldest travel trailer in the world, custom made for a Caltech professor by a Los Angeles carriage maker. It was restored in 1980, and the car itself that's pulling it was restored in 1990. This was the last year for choice of colors on a Model T. Following this year, they were produced in only black. This blue and black paint scheme is authentic. The trailer has a dining table that seats 4, then converts into a double bed. The khaki colored upholstery is in the original style. Storage is provided underneath both benches. and then 2 cabinets on either side of the rear doors. So then we move on to the 1916 telescoping apartment. And what's unique about this is how this is built. So to give you an idea, it is mounted in this metal housing that you can see there. And everything that you see right in front of us folds up, it slides in, and it will literally be pushed inside that little housing. This camper is completely contained inside this little metal box area in the back of the car. Your kitchen will fold up. It'll slide in on the tongue and groove, dovetailed. On this side that's pulled out is another storage box. And as with the other side, that will slide in also. Once you do that, you have these 2 handles on the back, and you just push it in. But while it's open like this, you do have seating for 2 people of the era. And this is a 1916 automobile telescoping apartment. So we got a couple of older pictures here that you can see of it being set up. So then we move on to an early tent trailer. It's a 1916 Cozy Camp tent trailer. The bed mattress would be filled with heavy cotton. Two Feathers Restorations and Design has a 1924 camper that uses the same style mattress. Underneath is springs. So we can get a lower shot here. You can see the springs underneath that support the bed. Also, with this style model, they advertise that you can have people sleep below you, so it can sleep 4 people comfortably. You can see the early style wheel on here. It looks like a wagon wheel. Also take note, they had an optional bathtub that would fold up that would take place of this cot. So if you're looking for privacy underneath, you could. So this has a ceiling that drops straight down. It does fold up a little differently. All these different tent trailer manufacturers will create these a little different from each other. So that's the 1960 Cozy Camp tent trailer. Now step back here so you can get a better view of the Tennessee Traveler. This is a model Ford Model A truck, 1931, that was beautifully restored and then donated to the museum after the owners were done touring. So it is a fully operational motorhome of the era. And we can take a peek inside here. You'll notice lots of storage. Storage above the driver here. The seats, as you can tell once I get this camera down, very comfortable. I don't think you're going to catch me in those seats more than 5 minutes. But it does have all the creature comforts. Your desk, couch in the back makes into a bed. You got your home radio in the back. Mason jar lights at the ceiling. Very nice unit. This is the Tennessee Traveler. And you can see it has the roof line that kind of reminds you of a parlor car on a train. Next, we're going to jump over here to this trailer here. And what you have here is a 1935 covered wagon. Herb Reeves donated this trailer. You can see all the wiring in the closet, all the original wiring. Very crude. All plywood exposed. It's not a high-end walnut or cherry or any kind of wood that we would see typically. This is just your standard run-of-the-mill plywood of the era. One thing to take note, being that it's in the early days here, even though you have a dinette table, they used a cot instead of having a bed that a set of chairs that make down into a bed. So that's kind of an early example of how things have changed. So now we're going to get over here to our 1932 Gilkey tent trailer. It's a Camp King is the brand model number or name. So very technical inside here. If you visit our shop, you'll see ours is nowhere near as technical as this. It has a lower storage, upper storage, some shelving in that window area. Very military-like. The canvas bed covers, but you do have the linoleum flooring. Too bad that's not in production. That's kind of cool looking. So Dick Rusmanson of Madison, Wisconsin had donated this trailer. His father used it throughout the Midwest from the early 30s to 1988. And little side screens on the side. In our displays, we try to put some props out from the era. In some cases, you'll find some things are not appropriate to the era. Most people wouldn't catch that. So here we have another style of tent trailer. I don't have any information on this particular trailer, but this one here, the doorway is very difficult to get into. Kind of tucked underneath. Still have decent amount of headroom inside, but again, it's this doorway that is just not anywhere near as comfortable as it could be. The door has little pins that would hold it in place. The door has been removed. I don't know what year this is, but I do see a tag up here. It is a Zagelmeyer. Now we have a 1931 Zagelmeyer at our shop. So I don't think, let's see here, let's check out our wheels down below here. So it's got similar wheels. Let's get our camera to pan over for you. So it's got similar wheels to what we see on our trailer. So it's probably within reason to say that it's close to a 1931. I'm not sure why we don't have any information out here for this trailer. So then now we're going to move over to this 1935 Comfort travel trailer. It's all steel, welded. This one here, the information is saying that it's an example of a well-built homemade trailer of the early days. So we'll take a peek. We've got a front kitchen. You got a rooftop vent. And you have a dining area. That would become your bed. If anybody has any knowledge of where to find a lens for that ceiling light that's in the back, we'd be appreciative of you contacting us. This trailer needs 2 of those. Up here is one missing as well. This is the first year the RV Hall of Fame starts off its new year with no debt. And because we have the event center that we rent out, that will bring revenue to the museum. And we'll be able to do some repairs on these units that have been sitting here for so many years, allowing you as a visitor to come in and walk inside many of these campers. And they do receive some wear and tear. So this little trailer here is a 1950 Fleetwood Sporter. This is the very first camper, and it's built by John Crean. He is a Hall of Fame member. So it's the very first one built by Fleetwood Enterprises. Now my guess is the silver would have been naturally probably a raw aluminum versus the painted silver. We do find that a lot with trailers that have been around for a while and later donated. We'll see that later on a Ciro Scotti that we have. And you have your sleeping area. So behind us is a 1954 Rambler travel trailer. It was built while the company was Killinger Products Company, before the name was changed to Holiday Rambler to coincide with its most popular model. So this trailer is in fantastic shape. It has all of its original appliances. And all of its lighting is intact. So very, very nice condition. Off to our right is a 1955 Ranger crank up tent trailer. The body is all fiberglass. Not many of these have survived. The main frame is wood. There is no light inside here apparently, so we'll just wait for our camera to adjust. But you do have a stove and sink up front, and you have 4 bunks that people can sleep in once you have this fully extended with upper storage. Like I say, not many of these have survived. This one's in pretty decent shape. It can use some attention. And behind us is a 1954 Yellowstone. These came from the factory with raw aluminum, as you see. This one here is an immaculate shape. Gorgeous inside. So this is the back room, so this door acts as an emergency exit. Then you have the dinette that would make into a bed as well. So that's a 1954 Yellowstone. Behind us is a 1956 Easy Camper prototype tent trailer. Only one side is extended out. It's not fully set up, unfortunately. It does have a curtain to go down the center so you can have privacy. Now we move on to our Ciro Scotti display. This is a 12-foot travel trailer here. They came out with rear entry door. There are several made. They just weren't as popular as some of the other models. We have a little bit of an ad here that we can show you, which is the Highlander. You have the Gaucho model. And then you have a 15-footer, which is like that Highlander with the bump-up roof, except it doesn't have the bump-up roof. So this one's in an all-original condition. The unique part about this is it has the blue and white speckle and black speckle that they're famous for. But what you'll notice here is you can see some of that black, but it's not that strong inside this trailer. Some later years, some other trailers, they would really put that black on a lot heavier. And it can really be mesmerizing, and personally I don't care for too much of the black because it will just make you go crazy. But you have a nice little rooftop vent. Now we move over to how Ciro Scotti got started. It's the 1957 teardrop trailer, 10-footer. Now this is a prime example where the siding was painted silver. A lot of components were painted that shouldn't have been painted, door handles, etc. But the interior of this trailer is intact with its black and white speckle. You can see it's heavier inside here. You'll see some of the yellowing from water leakage over time. But this camper, somebody has painted the entire camper with the silver. Out back you have a full kitchen. Tuck your stove away. Then we're going to move on to a Coachman. This is a gorgeous trailer here. It's a 1964 Cadet travel trailer. So if you are a Shasta Compact lover, this is going to be a similar setup. So you have couches on both sides. Those will pull out into one large bed. Then you have your kitchen off to your right. All original. Beautiful. So we're going to go back behind us here. There's a new display here in the Hall of Fame for lithium ion batteries. So this is doing a demo of your solar panel. So the whole point is people are supposed to write on here where they're from. Of course, somebody went up there and put 2020 for Trump, and then somebody else came back and crossed it out, versus sticking with the whole point of the wall, and that is, where are you from, or where are you going? Of course, these lower levels, you get little kids that will scribble on the wall and not know any better. And some of these, the flipping Nomad, you got Cash and Vicky over here that were here in November. Mark and Kathy says they were just here. It's on the 4th. So we'll be eventually clearing out some of this and allowing new people to post things. But this entire display is to show how does your lithium ion batteries work. In charging. You can get your photo taken right here. So back in this little cubby, we highlight this original Mallard trailer. I do not know the exact year on this trailer. But it's definitely in the 60s era. But this is all original. Very, very nice trailer. There's a sign we have. It says 1962. Rolling on RVs, Schererville, Indiana, used by one of the family for 30 years. So it's very well cared for. They did install a carpet, so probably underneath there is probably the original floor. What you can't see that well from here is the back end of the Apache tent trailer. The way it's set up, there's really no way to get into it, but you can look through the window here and see how the Apache is set up. So you got storage underneath the bed area. And if you want to do a family photo, we have the cutaways. Then we have what we believe to be the only trailer we have that we believe is a homemade trailer. Back in the day, you can get Popular Mechanics magazine, and they would have plans of trailers and different projects, and you can go to a local RV place and pick up components, even mail order. So we believe that that is exactly what this trailer is. You have plywood walls, plywood roof, things that were just not done by a manufacturer in the normal sense. So in here we have a dinette. It's got some rounded seats. We believe this would make down into a bed as well. But there's a lot, but all the ceiling is all pressed board. So we believe that there's a strong chance this was really made in the late 30s to the time of World War II. There's different components that are on here that throw it off as in the year in which it would have probably been made. A lot of times we try to look at the different components, and they may have been used for a handful of years. But what you see in here for a kitchen is a typical 1930s setup. We've got to fix that bench there. It looks like some people probably have plopped their butts down in that seat and have collapsed the frame. So while we're here this weekend, we're going to take a look at that and see what we can do to fix that this coming week. This is the front of the luxury liner made by Fan. Again, it appears that the metal is supposed to be raw, and it actually looks like it is an anodized. Looking at it closely, it's not paint. It's a very satin feel to it. And we even have full-sized modern motorhomes that are significant. So we're going to go take a look at the placard we have here, because this is really important before we go inside. This is a 1985 Fleetwood Bounder. This is the final working prototype for the Bounder motorhome that, when released in 1987, changed the motorhome industry by placing basement storage in a Type A motorhome. And then you have a copy of the original sketch by John Crean, drawn at a Denny's restaurant when they're having lunch with Dave Russell, for the logo for the Bounder. So you can see how you have a rear door, And we'll go right on up inside here. So you have a really spacious cabin. Couch that makes into a bed, dinette makes into a bed. We got a full kitchen here. The good old Magic Chef. Some of you might remember those. Prelude to our modern day microwaves. It's a little dark in the back here, but our camera should be able to pick it up. Let's see if we can turn on. Let's see, it's not allowing me to turn on the flash. Well, we'll just have to deal with what we can see here, guys. So you got a full bedroom, a good sized bathroom in here, but there's just not enough light in the back. There are some components that are broken in here. People have just not been respectful when they come to the museum. They let the kids run wild, and this is what happens. Seatbelt pieces get broken. In this coach, one of the trim pieces, I believe that's for the stove that's laying up against the wall there. Those are kind of things that, now that the museum's making some income starting this year, that we are going to want to spend some money and reinvest into our units, so that way we can correct situations like that to the best of our ability. When parts are available, we can replace items that are broken or missing. Sometimes we've had people steal things. So here we have a 1966 Mustang travel trailer. It's raw, but it's polished. It's a beautiful trailer. The Westward Coach Company plant that built the Mustang before the Ford Motor Company began to use the name. That's a pretty significant thing. So Mustang was not used by Ford initially. These guys used it. It says this is one of the first trailers of the bunkhouse design. The second story bed function. It also shows the advent of the popular provision of tiny bathrooms with a shower, sink, and stool in the same compartment that came into vogue in the mid-60s. Bathing and toilet facilities were rarely included in camping trailers before this time. So that is a very important thing to notate. Alright, we're standing in front of the very first production camper, 1929 covered wagon. This was acquired from the Mr. David Woodworth collection, I believe. I do know he has 4 others depicting all 4 years of this style of trailer that he is currently looking to sell. But this one's a 1929. The floor drops down. It sits in a channel, so it's solid to the ground. But very comfortable. We can sneak back in here. We have an early depiction of a Class C. It's a 1969. The Stites family built these slide-in and chassis-mounted truck campers during the late 60s and early 70s. This is an example of a larger truck camper that in the late 60s outgrew the ability to slide in and out of a pickup truck and required that the truck be removed and were permanently mounted, and to cut off the truck cab. This style evolved into what today's styles and sizes of a Type C motorhome. So before we go in, we'll take a peek at the front here. So kind of goofy looking. The way the windshield area is put in. I mean, you're immediately at the bench seat. There is just a hint of a gap where I guess you could try to slide through and get to the camper in the behind you. So that's interesting. Right above is a overhead bunk, and I believe that would slide shut. It does appear that you have two pads, so I would say that this would slide closed, so that way it gives you more feel of headroom while you're driving down the road if you chose. Full kitchen, and also very large dinette couch area. A little bit of a collapsing table there, but that can be removed, and you can see the legs there. That couch will pull out into a bed. What's really cool is this ceiling treatment. I can't say I've seen that style before, but it's a vinyl product. Okay, next we have a 1954 Shasta. A little display down here. Coachman Industries acquired the West Coast-based Shasta Industries in 1970s. Shasta was started in 1941 near its namesake, Lake Shasta. This 15-foot trailer without the standard company logo wings was built with an upper bunk with a ventilation window that would have been covered by wings. It also featured a gravity water system with the reservoir in the cabinet above the sink and a small hose for water tap. The filler for the water tank is visible near the roof on the curb side of the trailer. There appears to be a light on in here, but it's very dark. So you have your dinette again. You'll see a common thread throughout these campers. You have the Humphreys lamp up there above the wall. The cooler months, great light, but very hot. Okay, next we have a 1968 Carriage travel trailer. Real fancy exterior and trim. Looks to be in its original condition. Right off to your left here you have a shower stall. Toilet. And we'll spin around here. You've got a couch immediately after you enter that will pull out into a bed. As well as over here you have a table that could be put up in between these couches. But again, you can pull these out to make a bed as well. I've seen this style layout in a fan trailer as well. And here's an old vintage, God bless our camper. You don't see little trinkets like that too often anymore. But the details on the cabinets really scream the 60s with that plastic that's to mimic glass. We got a full kitchen as well. Alright, we'll step back on out. Alright, up next we have a 1937 Hunt house car. Very streamlined look. One of several vehicles built in the 30s by Hollywood movie cinematographer and producer Roy Hunt. This unit, designed the Star because of its hood ornament, has an identical sister vehicle called the Turtle in another collection in a California museum, which differs only by its hood emblem. So you have a nice, beautiful curves and woodwork in here. Couch that would make out into a bed, I would assume. Dinette's a little bit short. Back in the day, there was a lot more shorter people. At the very top of the radiator, you'll see your Star that we just talked about. Beautiful piece of history. Here we have the famous 1931 Mae West house car. This was made specially for her. Is one of the enticements offered by Paramount Studios to get Mae West to leave vaudeville circuit and become a person that worked for them and do a lot of movies for them over time. It is designed to be chauffeur driven. It is not a camper unit, so this is just like a glorified limousine, if you will. It features a small hot plate stove, an ice box, a small table to enjoy lunch or tea. It was used for several years to transport Mae West from her home or hotel to the shooting locations. The story indicates she had a rocking chair on the back porch where she can enjoy the breeze when appropriate. So, you're traveling in style. It is not a Rolls-Royce. It's an American version of it, if you ask me. But it is on a Chevy chassis. And what's wonderful about this unit, you'll see where this back door is. I'm sure they probably used it in parades, things of that nature, because this back area, it has a roof. You're protected from the weather, but you can also say hi to your fans in a very safe location. Kind of reminds you of the presidential rail cars, where the president's on the back and waving to the fans. Up next, we have a 1935 Bullis Road Chief, an original one. This is not a brand new one. They are back in production. We understand they sell for over $150,000, but they are gorgeous like the originals. And the builders are trying to stay true to its heritage. These trailers were designed by world-famous sailplane builder Holly Bullis, where they were the predecessor of the more recognized Airstream Clipper style. The segmented aluminum roof design simulates the look of silk fabric stretched over wooden frame on sailplanes or gliders. When Airstream took over the design in 1936, they removed the boat tail feature and moved the entry from the front to the side. Exterior polishing service was provided by Phoenix Commercial Paint Incorporated of Edwardsburg, Michigan on this trailer, and they did a fantastic job on it. So we would go inside, but we don't have it properly balanced to let people go inside. So then we have another very significant trailer here. I don't know if you've recognized it yet, but this is a Linenberg trailer. This was custom built, and it has 4 wheels down on the ground. Back in the early years of campers, they had heavy tongue weights, and cars just couldn't handle it, and so we would have these little helpers. We're still looking for a couple variations of that. If anybody has some that would love to donate it to the museum, we'd love to have that displayed on the trailers. In this case, this camper was purposely built with its own front end that turns and everything based off of which direction the front hitch is connected. So if you turn, it turns. I've been told that it has airplane suspension. So we're going to look at the display here. This unit is a 1939, designed in San Carlos, California by engineer of Sir Francis Drake Hotel. This trailer was custom built for famous aviator Charles Lindbergh, hence its name. Skinned in aluminum to reduce weight and enhance appearance. The trailer boasts 2 axles, one at each end. The design gave the trailer a great deal of stability when parked for overnight stops and did not require the use that the tongue be supported on jacks when unhitched from a tow vehicle. During his day, Charles Lindbergh captivated the American public, having vaulted himself from obscurity to the worldwide claim as the first pilot to complete a solo, non-stop transatlantic flight in 1927. 5 years later, Lindbergh would hold the headlines once again. However, this time it's regarding the tragic kidnapping and murder of his infant son, Charles Jr. So this has been donated by Richard Buckley. So you have the fold-away seats, kind of like an airplane. In the back here we have a sleeping area. I don't know if that's another bunk up top. I have never pulled that down to check or see if it's storage, but it could be another bunk. One note to make is looking at the hardware on the wall here. It actually, on the far right, is your amperage meter and a clock. We're missing one handle, it looks like, but those black boxes on the wall are the window cranks. And you have a nice kitchen up front here. Now notate on this sink over here you have your hand pump. Now those of you that love the GMC motorhomes, this one was purchased, totally gutted, rebuilt by its owner. They hired a company to do the work. They did a beautiful job, but unfortunately when they got done with this vehicle, it was just too heavy to travel on the road. And thus it has been donated to the museum. And we see people have been in here touching things again. But it has all the high-tech equipment you can wish on a brand new motorhome. It's here. So it's perfectly drivable, it's just not stable for the road. The owners just did not feel safe driving this. And we can understand. So this was just recently donated, I think within the last year or so. But you do have, in this cabinet here, full washer and dryer. And you have your luxurious bathroom in the back. With the bathtub. Toilet here has a huge cabinet behind it. Lots of counter space. So the toilet can kind of double up as a makeup stand, I suppose. A lot of gorgeous cabinetry. So the work is beautiful that's in here. So for whatever reason, suspension, not quite sure, but from what we're told, it was very unstable. So here we have a little information. I'll read it out because it's so tiny. 1977 GMC motorhome. FMCA members Bob and Jeanette Prince didn't merely want to restore their 77 GMC motorhome. Their vision was for a dramatic transformation. When they found this motorhome parked next to a dumpster, it had weathered, rotten awnings, flat tires, critters living in it. And it goes on. Once retired, after seeing much of the countryside in their 45-foot Prevost bus, they wanted to put the elegance, luxury, and quality comfort into this 26-foot antique motorhome. They consulted experts and designers to renew the unit from ground up. It is estimated that over $500,000 was spent on this transformation. Let's see here. From the body and to the interior, it has black metallic exterior paint. Once completed with LED lighting, wine cooler, full-size refrigerator, washers, you name it. It keeps going on here. The ride, unfortunately, did not deliver what they were hoping for, choosing to donate to the museum for safekeeping instead of selling it. We and, you are, as our guests, can benefit from their saving it from fading away into the glory of the sunset of yesterday. So it was gracious enough that they did that, because this is just an example of what you can do with one of these. But again, the ride was just not up to par. So now we move on to the Star Streak 2. This is the second of two custom all-aluminum motorhomes built by Paul Jones of Cape Coral, Florida. Built in 1988 using a 76 Cadillac Eldorado chassis and a 76 Olds Tornado. It was designed and built specifically to fit in a standard residential garage. The length is 270 inches, and its weight is 5,400 pounds. The height is 83 inches. So Paul and Maureen Jones family donated this to the Hall of Fame. Okay, next is our 1929 Weidman house car. Have your hand pump for your sink. You'll see that common. It has a rear entry. Once you make the bed, however, it is not so easy to get in and out of without going through the front. It's got wonderful storage, lots of light. Next, we're going to go down our next alley here. Here we have a Studebaker pickup that was used to move mobile homes. Very nice shape. Love to get one of these someday. It's missing some of its parts. There should be, I believe, tires that attach to the back there. But what we have here is a Spartan trailer, mobile home. We have one of these at our shop that we use for storage. This one has its complete interior. This is a 1954 model. It's 8 by 42 feet. So this was restored and brought into the museum. So you can walk inside. Again, we've had some people, unfortunately, damage some things here. So you may notice that in the video. So you have your full kitchen. Got your General Electric fridge on the right side. Got a full stove. And you can see the trim sitting there that we've got reattached this weekend. A lot of things have just been broken on here. People have broken door handles off of cabinetry, just being irresponsible. So if you guys see anything here that you may have tucked away in your parts bins, please do contact the RVMH Hall of Fame Museum. We'd be glad to take those items and correct these trailers that are missing components. You have a full-on bathtub. And you got your toilet and your sink area. So plenty of space in this camper, which most people actually truly lived in because it is a mobile home. Okay, next up is a unique little setup. This pickup has been converted to have a kitchen on its side. This is a 1933 Ford camp car. Mr. Runkle was a home builder who built custom vehicles for local customers from 1915 to 1940. This unit was used up until 1947 for the yearly trips to Florida. This is one of the very first units to be powered by a Ford V8 motor. So you do have another bunk off to your right that could be folded down, so it can comfortably seat two people. Alright, we have a 1939 Schultz 8x20 foot house car. This will be joining the RVMH Hall of Fame Traveling Museum very shortly, and will be available for rental for functions as well as RV shows. So we have some memorabilia out here. This big couch makes into a bed. We have this wonderful little stove right here. It's all original. Original marmoleum flooring, your kitchen stove and sink, and a bed that doubles as your dinette. So lots of storage. Again, everything in here is all your plywood based. There's no fancy woods in here. Here we have a 1935 Cozy Camp tent trailer. We move on to some early Masonite trailers. This one is a 1936 Road Home coach. This is your bathtub. Believe it or not, that folds down, becomes another couch. So it's been closed for a while, so we just opened it up yesterday. People can't believe that that is a bathtub. Look at the linoleum, that's still in good shape, huh? So in the back here, you have your sink to immediate left. You have your couch in the back, makes into a bed, and a beautiful stove. This camper coming up next, it has an interesting trunk back design. So it does have storage back there. It's a canvas roof trailer. Most of these I'm showing you right now are canvas roof trailers. This one's a 1935 York Rambler. So you got a bed up front. Gotta have the radio with you, right? There it is. No bathroom in here. Early trailers don't, but you got your ice box, which is a luxury. A lot of great wood in here. It's a great combination of woods and painted surfaces. It was manufactured with an all steel body, which is a unique feature. For those of you that like your vintage motorhomes, here's a Pace Arrow, Fleetwood's first motorhome for 1969 introduction. So this is the very first one. It's here now at the Hall of Fame for quite some time. It's a back bedroom as well. Here we have another GMC motorhome. This one's an all original unit, however, compared to the fully customized unit. Original paint. It's the Painted Desert scheme. 1974. We'll just take a peek inside here. Lots of great space. A little dark in the back there. For those of you that love your Winnebagos, we have an original Winnebago here at the museum that you can walk through. This one's all original. I do not believe this has ever been restored. Looking at the finish on the siding, it tells me it's never been outside. So looking at our display information, designed to sleep up to 6 on 3 double beds. So you have your classic overhead. Wonderful camper, very historic. So while you're at the museum, we have some other displays that you can see. We also have our vendor's hall, which we're going to cut across through this back door if it's unlocked. And the Lux display is being changed out. But we do have Draw-Tite in here. So vendors do pay to display what you would see in some cases at a RV show. So you have Theffert. So we have a lot of various different ones here. KOA even has a little spot here. On this next room, our Scholar room, it is for the manufactured homes, part of the museum. So the Spartan that you saw is the one that we have on display presently. Our next phase of expansion will include a much larger display and hopefully a couple more units of the manufactured homes. And so we have stories on the wall here from various folks. This gentleman here sold his house, a $300,000 house with a swimming pool, just to live in a trailer. But it all is location. Could be along the beach, oceanfront. Everybody has different reasonings. This was a idea that somebody put forth. Looks like blocks of wood. Those are to depict, if I can get our gimbal to work here. This is to depict a skyrise terrace plan that they had. Somebody had come up with, there's a painting down below, Their idea was to create several terraces that you would install a mobile home on, and that would be your spot. So it's like a high rise of mobile homes. As far as I know, that never happened to take place. Never was put into the works. So we just have various things of information here. But yeah, they even have a spot here depicted for a swimming pool even. A lot of great photos, a lot of history. We have a board here that has a large amount of emblems that would have been applied to the various trailers as they were built. Marlette, we've had one of those come into our shop that we planned on restoring to sell, but we ended up selling it, and a couple of years ago or a year ago it went up on eBay. The person in Pennsylvania that bought it, the whole front section was completely rotted, but that was a Merlot and it was very well built. So a lot of your the fan trailer was also a trailer that they were involved with the mobile home industry as well. There's a display for our Schultz homes. But a lot of manufacturers that did mobile homes did do a small version of a camping trailer, and they're not as well known as, let's say, a Shasta or something, because the cost point, Shasta was the average Joe's trailer because they could afford it. But a Merlot might be a bit more, but it was a lot more rugged, so it wasn't the fan. We've restored a fan up on our Facebook page. Do like us on Facebook, Two Feathers Restorations and Design. You'll see past photos of what we've restored, and you'll notice if you take a look back on that fan build that the wood that was used was so much more substantial than a typical 1x2. And this is a little small display model that one of the manufacturers had made that was recently acquired for our museum. So do follow us on Facebook. The RVMHHallOfFame.org is the website to this museum. Then you can also follow the Traveling Museum at RVMHHallOfFameTraveling.org. We'll put the information on the bottom of the screen for you. So as we come back into the main hall, this past year we added this collection that came to us. It's an enormous collection of very high quality models that show the various types of campers, from early stuff to the 60s, various qualities. Upstairs we also have a library. It includes a lot of periodicals that have been saved through the years. You may be able to find ads showing your trailer. You're free to come and look at that as part of your admission to the museum. This museum, if you took your time, it will take you several hours to go through this. We had some folks here yesterday I ran across that were here for 3 hours on their way to Chicago. So this video was special for our Patreon members. I hope you liked this tour. Do encourage others to join our Patreon page, patreon.com/2feathers_restorations_design. For each membership, that money will go to the Traveling Museum and help with expenses related to taking the vehicles to the RV shows. So join us, and I thank you for spending your time watching our videos.